Okay, so we're live for our eSurgery. Now, just wait for people to join us. I know that my friend Katia is looking at this now and is going to now share it across all the local Facebook groups. So thank you very much, Katia. And I just would like to introduce my guest. So you might have noticed this fella sat next to me here. This is Colin Kemp.
Inconspicuous as
Councillor Colin Kemp. I'll let you introduce yourself, Colin.
Hi, thank you, Paul. Thank you for inviting me along today.
Yes.
Really excited about doing this. I think it's a great thing to do. My name's Colin Kemp, as Paul said. I'm a councillor in Woking as a borough councillor, executive member there. Done housing for 2 years now, doing leisure and culture. But the reason we're being here today and supporting Paul is I'm actually a cabinet member, well, I'm lead cabinet member for Place, which incorporates highways. I've been doing highways now for the past year, and also now I've got the additional roles under Place, which is around infrastructure and also property as well. So that my role is extended into that now.
Excellent. And do you want to just say what you do at Woking?
I've done Woking.
Oh, you've done Woking. I wasn't.
I
I was multitasking, which clearly us men can't do very well. Excellent. Well, for those who are watching, because we're streaming this across multiple Facebook pages, so I'll introduce myself in case anyone doesn't know me. So my name's Paul Deach. I'm a councillor at Surrey Heath Borough Council, and I'm an executive member for customer experience and digital. And at Surrey County Council, I'm a councillor there too, and I represent Mitchett in Deach and Frimley Green at the County Council. I suppose one of the reasons why I like to do these surgeries is because it's just such a great way of engaging with residents. You know, and I'm hoping that you may even roll this out to your own area.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've got a couple of my borough councillors I work with in Woking. I represent Horsell from a borough point of view, and Horsell and Goldsworth East from a county point of view. But I know a couple of my borough councillors are looking at this because actually it is really difficult to engage with residents. You know, you're knocking on doors, you get one or two, you set up a surgery on a Saturday morning, but actually people can contact you from the comfort of their home and have a conversation and ask the questions, and I think it's a good way of engaging.
Okay, now why don't we get stuck straight in, because we've got questions coming in left, right and centre already, which is absolutely...
I hope you're going to get some as well, Paul.
I hope so too, I hope so too. Yeah, you're going to be stealing my thunder a little bit. So let's have a look here. We've got a question here from Barbara. Why can't we have family services locally for residents in my division where there is a serious shortage? Oh, okay, that's Barbara Thompson, that's one of ours.
Oh, hello, Barbara.
Hello, Barbara. Barbara, I didn't realise who it was at first. Barbara is one of our county councillors. Probably we're not the best person to
Well,
answer.
and I can sort of answer that because I've been involved in some conversations around the vision for Surrey. We've obviously got a new chief executive on board, and there's a change of direction around this. And you'll be pleased to know, Barbara, and it isn't going to happen overnight, but actually it's exactly what they want to do. It's about, you know, we're stuck at County Hall. You know, there are a few instances around the county where there are county services within the boroughs and in the borough offices, but actually we need to do better at that. You know, we need to be having some good spokes, some local offices, engaging with the boroughs and districts, and actually setting up offices within their buildings as well. So actually local residents can access them, and actually being where the residents need to do. Now, it's still a vision at the moment. But there is a real strong agenda around this, Barbara, and we're definitely hoping going to roll this out a lot more. But we need the partnerships of boroughs and districts to make this happen.
Good enough. Now, has any questions coming through on your page there just yet, Colin?
No, don't think so at the moment.
Not there. Okay, not to worry. Well, Colin is actually, in terms of Facebook anyway, quite new to his Facebook page. Is only what? 6 months?
During the snow and ice.
Oh, right, okay, so a bit longer.
During the winter, I've obviously had my own personal Facebook page, but to do a councillor one for engaging, you helped me set that up, obviously, right. When we had the bad winter.
Yeah, okay, so so he might not have quite the number of followers that I have, but it is growing, I've noticed, daily, so which is really great. Now, let's have a look here. We've got a question here. Okay, from Gareth. Why can't we still use smartphones to report carriageway defects easily? That's one for you, definitely.
You can.
I thought we could
okay,
too.
so there is obviously lots of apps out there, Mr. Pothole, etc., etc.
Yeah.
There are lots of apps out there. The issue we're reporting them on the apps is that they do not link directly into our system. And there is an interface issue where sometimes if you report them on this app, we don't get the information. And also these apps are not updated from our system. But if you go onto the Surrey County Kemp website, which is mobile phone friendly, and go to the reported page, you can actually do it on your mobile phone, link into the website, and actually, as long as you've got your location services activated, it will actually pinpoint exactly where you're standing, and then you can report a pothole, you can upload a picture if you wish, and actually report it there and then. It'll ask you a couple of questions: is it in the middle of the road, the outside of the road, and you can report it live where you're standing on your mobile phone.
Wonderful, thanks for that, Colin. No idea what's happening in Camberley right now, but I don't know if you can hear that.
Helicopters?
Yeah, there's helicopters flying around. No idea what that's all about.
They're trying to track us down.
There must be. There must be. Yeah, they've obviously seen me in my sunglasses, haven't they?
It's the management.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have a look. Let's see now. We've got some other questions here. County councillors started a petition for fairer funding for Surrey roads, and despite people complaining about the state of the roads, it doesn't seem to have gathered momentum. Why do you think that is? I'll start.
You start that, please do.
Actually, this petition is running for 6 months for a start, and we haven't really mega promoted it yet. And in fact, the reason why Colin is here this evening is once we're finished with the eSurgery, we are going to be doing a video to put out on Facebook about the e-petition. That you will notice an increase in the promotion of that very soon across social media. Not all councillors are as, let's say, social media savvy as I am, and the person who started the e-petition isn't social media savvy at all, so that's why we're doing it for him this evening. So you will start to see that getting pushed out. I don't know if you wanted to say something on that.
And actually, you know, the residents as well. So as you're picking this up, circulate it to your friends. You know, and this is not just a Surrey issue. The petition is particularly about Surrey, but other councils will be grateful of the support. So if your friends live outside Surrey, get them to support it as well. Because actually it is really important we get this message out there. We get it debated in Parliament. We need to get the right number of signatures to get it debated. But actually, you know, the residents can play their part. Circulate it amongst their friends.
Right, okay. I'm not sure, we've got a comment here from Trevor, my mate Trevor. I'm not sure the Ospreys yesterday were for Trump's visit. I'm pretty sure they will have been for the Farnborough Air Show, more likely. But if you do figure out what the helicopters are...
He's in Europe still, he's not in country
He's not in the UK yet, but maybe it was
Thursday,
an advance party or whatever. But I think you'll find that the Ospreys are more likely to be as a result of the Farnborough Air Show. So let's have a look here. What else have we got? Just got some questions coming in now. Okay, Surrey Heath is investing heavily in Camberley. Do you not think that buying a shopping centre at a time when retail is in crisis is a risky strategy? Well, you know, any property acquisition, I suppose, could be considered risky. But the thing is that it's not just about an investment to get money back on buying that property. It's also about having control of the town centre. You know, there's going to be huge redevelopment going on in Camberley. I know that's happening in Woking right now as well. Yeah, it's more about control, I think, certainly from my point of view. And yeah, there's always risk involved in investment, but I think the risk is very low. I mean, what would you...
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, it is about having that control, but I think it's actually more than that. I think it's about investing in place. Our shopping centres are not shopping centres anymore. They're actually places where people come. They go to the cinema, they can go to a theatre if you have a theatre, they can go to restaurants, and it's about a place. You know, and the borough councils and the county council need to invest in those places to keep them active, to keep them current, and actually keep control. You know, we need to put that investment in to support the businesses. We don't want our shops closing. We don't want our local businesses closing. So it's important that we control our place. And I'm really passionate about this because I do believe we as borough councillors, and I'm talking as a borough councillor now, have to control the place where we live, where we are, and make it an open offer to everybody. You know, they may not go into the town centre to visit a shop. They may be taking the kids to a kids' party, going to the pictures. You know, but actually while they're there, they will visit the shops because they've come in for a different reason. So it's creating that multicultural place.
Lovely, thanks for that, Colin. If you're just joining the live feed now, I've got quite a few people watching across the different channels now. If you are just joining us, please do hit the share button so that other people, perhaps your local friends and family, can benefit from this live feed. And just to remind you that we're in Camberley right now. I am a Surrey Heath Borough Councillor and represent Surrey County Council, Surrey Heath Surrey County Council, and Colin is a Woking councillor. So it is going to be kind of Woking Camberley centric, this broadcast, but we are also broadcasting to the Surrey Residents Network. So if you live anywhere in Surrey and you have any questions that you want to ask us, Colin is the cabinet member for places. It's a new cabinet, that's why a new cabinet position. That's why I hesitated on the name. But that has responsibility for highways and
highways, infrastructure, investment in infrastructure, buildings and property. It's a quite wide ranging now.
Yes. Okay. Good enough. Now we've got another question coming in. This is from the Surrey Residents Network from Mark.
Okay.
We have recently seen some issues with travellers taking over public parks and spaces. Some of these parks have easy access. What is being done to deal with travellers taking over our parks, especially now the summer holiday period is looming? I mean, this is a hot topic. It's not an easy one to answer. There's a lot of emotions always around travellers. I'll let you go first if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. Because actually, you know, if any of my Horsell residents are watching this is a heavy topic in Horsell as well, because we've had incursions in Horsell. We've got a place called Wheatsheaf Common, which got invaded by the travellers. And I think there's an issue with this, and I've had some feedback from my residents about better protecting that green space. The issue is there are areas which are really well protected, double padlocks, and actually they still break in. So it doesn't matter how much protection you put around it, they're always going to find a way in, unfortunately. It's not right, I don't agree with it, but actually it's about then how we deal with it. And I think we put the best protection we can, but actually it's about how we deal with it on the ground. Most of the borough and districts are very proactive in this. They have a certain amount of resources, some do it better than others. I'm really pleased to say Woking do it really well, and I thank my officers for the time and effort they put into that. But you know, the police will engage where there is, and funny enough, I had a meeting with the police about this only this week, and they will engage in this and support the local councils where there is community risk. So if you have an event booked on a Sunday on a particular grass area and the travellers move in there on a Friday or a Saturday morning, the police at that point say this will affect a community event and they will respond. Other than that, the police will support the borough officers in what they need to do. But it is an issue Surrey-wide. The travellers, whether you agree or disagree, and I'm not going to comment either way, have rights. You know, they are a group of people that have issues as well. So I think we need to take a balanced approach, but actually we do need to try and protect our communities. I know if you live on top of any of these green spaces, it can be quite scary and worrying when they move in next door to you. I do have total sympathy with that. And as local councillors, we will work with our boroughs and districts to do the best we can.
Okay. My travellers have impacted Surrey Heath in quite a profound way over the years too. And I think that it's hard not to tar them all with the same brush, particularly when they come onto park areas and when they leave a lot of mess. And that's mess that the borough councils have to...
Actually, no, that's the really annoying part, is, you know, all right, they go on there, they intrude in spaces, but actually clear up. You know, you just wish they'd look after them, the areas they're coming in. They left a pile of rubbish that was neat and tidy that you could go in and clear. Actually, but they don't. It's everywhere.
They don't. And that's what irritates residents. And the thing is I know the Police and Crime Commissioner is doing a lot of work on this at the moment, because whether we like it or not, whether if you are a resident of the opinion that we shouldn't be making provision for these, the bottom line is we have a legal duty to do that, to make provision for them. And the bottom line is a lot of the boroughs and districts in Surrey are under provisioned in regards of providing pitches and so on. What the Police and Crime Commissioner would like to do is to install transit sites across the county, which actually, once those transit sites are in, that makes it much easier for the police to move on travellers that have incurred park areas and so on. The reason why it's so difficult to move them on is because there's nowhere for them to go, is the bottom line. So there is a lot of work going on in this regard.
There was an interesting article in Get Surrey about a week ago talking about the different communities. So when you see a group of travellers, actually it could be 4 or 5 different groups, different countries, different backgrounds, and actually there's a whole new group now that upset the travellers because they're not real travellers and actually causing a lot of trouble. So I think there's a whole, you know, there are 4 or 5 different communities out there as well. Yeah,
there are, absolutely. Now, let me see what other questions I've got here. Just bear with me. Is there anything come through on your page yet?
I got the same question about reporting potholes from Gareth.
Yeah, okay.
Other than that, just people joining.
Okay, that's great. So if you have just joined the live feed, please do hit the share button. Share that to your friends and family on your own Facebook timelines, and also no matter where you're watching from, because we are streaming this simultaneously to several Facebook pages. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments there, and Colin and I'll do our best to answer them for you. And where we can't answer questions, because contrary to popular myth, I don't have the answers to every question.
We haven't got the answers. We might have an opinion.
Yeah, we certainly have an opinion. But yeah, where we don't have the answer, we will come back and type out a comment for you afterwards. We'll get the answer for you. Surrey County Council have admitted that our roads are in a poor state and investing more money in our roads. But realistically, the budget is tiny and our roads have huge volume of traffic. How do you make sure that we invest in road infrastructure and keep it in good order?
Well, there's two questions within that one question, really, because I mean, yes, you know, I've been open and honest and said our network is underfunded. You know, we're dealing with an underfunded and deteriorating network, which is why the impact of this winter that we've just had was so great. Surrey has made a decision. We're investing £20 million to try and do the best we can, but as you quite rightly say, it is a drop in the ocean. Infrastructure is a different pot of money from actually repairing our roads. The petition, and we're going to mention the petition again, is out there to try and get better funding for the general maintenance of our roads. Infrastructure is really important. The issue with infrastructure, the money for infrastructure only comes and is associated with development. When we're doing development, we can put in new infrastructure. There is no pots of money to dip into to try and make it better without any of that investment. So I think, you know, the boroughs and districts need to be open to them conversations. We need to be looking at into the development that's going on, whether it's commercial or housing, and then we need to make sure that the money that comes off of that, whether it's Cllr money or 106 money, which are all the developer funds that can be withdrawn, a lot of that comes into the borough, and we need to make sure they're invested properly. And that's not just roads. Over them roads, it is public transport, it is schools, it is doctor surgeries. There's a whole list of things that money should be used to invest in the local communities where needed.
Okay, lovely, thanks for that. Now, question from Trevor. How big do you think the highways budget? How big do you think the highways budget really needs to be? Obviously, difficult as resources are always strained. I mean, God.
I can. Right. Okay. So I've done a rough exercise that, and I asked the same question, Trevor. So we get at the moment just under 20 million. Now, bearing in mind, that's not just for roads, that's for infrastructure. That covers bridges, it covers all the other bits and pieces that goes with our infrastructure. What would it take, we reckon, to stay still, so to keep the network at a steady state, which may not be wonderful, but it's to keep it at a steady state, would cost around about 25 million. To actually improve it, obviously would be anything above that. I mean, if we could get 30 million, actually we could start to make a difference and start to make an improvement into it.
Okay, but I mean...
But, you know, to bring the network back up to reasonable condition, there was some figures banted about around, you know, 400 million, but it would take 20, 30 years. You know, even if you wrote me an empty cheque today to actually repair all the roads, I'd bring Surrey to a standstill. So we'd take a reasonable amount of time to actually, you know, to make that impact.
I mean, you know, we all make no bones about the fact that the roads aren't in great shape.
No, absolutely.
But my wife and daughter and I went to the Cotswolds at Easter, and I've got to say they were just as bad, if not worse, there. So this is a national problem. It's not just in Surrey.
Oh yeah, it is a national problem. You know, but the one thing that makes it worse in Surrey is how busy our network is, and that's one thing we're calling on the government and what the petition's around. You know, the money that we get from central government to fund our highways is based on how many miles of road you have. That obviously is relevant because the longer the roads, the more it costs to repair. But alongside of that, how busy is the network should be part of that calculation, should be part of that formula. Because anybody with common sense will tell you, the more a road is used, the quicker it's going to wear out. And that's the issue with Surrey. Our roads are really, really busy, and consequently they wear out that much quicker.
Right, okay. And I'm going to get you to answer a question there I know was brought up at County Council today, and we've done a video on this.
Okay.
And it's a common question that I get from my residents, and I always, to be honest, struggle to answer it.
Okay.
And it's not because
I'm laughing because I know the question.
It's not because I don't know the answer, it's just it is very difficult to explain it.
Yeah.
There is a reasonable explanation, but why is it that when a pothole is reported and the crew come out to fix it, and there are 2 potholes within visible sight of that pothole that's been reported, why don't they fix the other 2 as well? Why do they only just fix one pothole?
Okay, I'll try and keep this as basic as I can.
Yep.
So, we pay a set amount of money for our contractor, who's Cllr, to repair the defects that occur on the network.
Yep.
As part of that contract, they are contracted to repair them within a certain amount of time. Any that are not repaired within that certain amount of time, number one, they have a financial implication because there is a penalisation system within the contract. But number two, they have the insurance risk of cars that are damaged on them holes that are not repaired within the timescale. So, if they went out, if we instructed them to go out and if they went up to a road and they saw a pothole, check the other area, make sure that they can repair the other holes in that area. If a crew went out today and he had 20 holes to repair, and at the first hole he spent an extra hour doing the other bits, and at the second hole he did the same, he would only probably get 3 or 4 done in one day, rather than the 20 which he's scheduled to do. This is going to cause a couple of problems. Number one, if the hole that you want done outside your home is number 20, probably take him a week to get there. But secondly, that would put the risk back on the council and would cost us additional money in risk on cars that are damaged on the network because we've changed the terms of the contract.
I see.
So there is a whole thing, a lot of stuff behind it.
Okay, good enough. Thank you for that. Now, there was where was that question? Okay, when will North Street, Guildford be resurfaced?
I will put on my Facebook page over the next couple of days a map that shows the 100-odd roads that we've already released, and you can find it. It's on. If you go onto Surrey News on the Twitter feed, there's a link to it as well.
Yeah.
And there is a list of roads. I'm not sure if that one's in it. I can certainly check and post it up later. But what you've got to remember is that the 20 million we're using to repair our road network, the 100-odd roads that I've put out at the moment will probably take about 5 to 6 million of that. So we are a quarter of the way through the work we need to do. Another list will come out in the autumn, so be patient. We can't do every road straight away. We are investing the money, and we're using the local members as a source to identify local priorities and roads that are going to be used. And I've said to my officers quite strictly, you know, I want to know roads that all the residents are using. I don't want a close or a little road that's accessed for 5 or 10 people. We'll have to get round to that one eventually. But my priorities are the ones that you all use to get to and from work, drop the kids to school, go up to the local shops. These are the local networks around where people live.
Okay, good enough. Now, a question here from a councillor. I'm not going to say which councillor it is because this is a residency surgery, but I'll read it out anyway because it is a good question.
Okay.
Highways, goodness, those helicopters are still at it.
And they're close.
Yeah,
they're finding us.
And they're definitely military ones by the sounds of it. The Surrey County Council Highways Department never seem to object to planning permissions, and we are getting more and more people moving into the area, yet the road infrastructure is really struggling. What are you planning to do about it?
Okay, 2 or 3 things. Number one, can I say that my planning guys respond to all planning applications, but they have a strict criteria about how they can respond. So there are strict, like local borough councillors, they can only refuse a planning application unless where they have certain reasons to, and there are regulations around it. It's the same with us on highways. We can only input into that under set regulations. Aside that, I'm encouraging my officers more and more to give feedback on possible implications, although they're not a reason for refusal. Now, how the local planning officers and local councillors use that information, it's going to be a really grey area, because it will be up to challenge if you don't have reasonable grounds to actually refuse a planning application. But it is one we're getting into. Aside of that, where there are bigger and bigger developments going on, we are doing a lot of work with all the boroughs and districts. Surrey Heath is at the core of a lot of that work we do. I have many meetings here, understanding where the different developments are and where they're across borders. So we're looking at it from a Surrey point of view, engaging with the individual boroughs and districts, and bringing them all around the table to talk about the infrastructure need across the boundaries. So we're doing a lot of cross borough work in understanding that, but from a strict planning law point of view, there are very strict rules about how we can object, and we can't object just because we think there's going to be more cars on the road.
Yeah, it's a constant frustration of residents about planning. And I've got to say, 7 years of being a councillor, I'm not ashamed to admit I still don't fully understand planning. I've never actually sat on the planning committee for a start, but it is a constant frustration. I mean, there's one proposed planning development going out to consultation right now in my area that's got a lot of residents concerned. And it's always highways, it's always traffic that is the number one objection, I think. And the difficulty is that councillors can't just turn down a planning application just because residents in their droves object to it. There has to be material planning reasons and legal planning reasons for turning down a planning application. And I suppose the frustration from a Surrey County Council point of view, as that councillor has just pointed out, is that highways officers don't necessarily object to it, but you're saying that they are bound by
it's similar rules. There are only certain things that they can object to,
right?
And that's the grounds and rules they have to follow. Right. And what you've got to remember from the boroughs and districts point of view, if they use something we put in a document to actually refuse a planning application, they take it to appeal. What normally happens on an appeal is if it gets granted, actually all the costs, the other parties included, get reversed back to that borough and district. They have to, your taxpayers' money, that borough has to pay the bill for that appeal.
Yeah, the other thing residents don't consider is that if it does go to a planning inspector, the planning inspector can also look at the application and go, actually, you could fit more houses on there.
Yeah, I've seen that happen as well.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. And you can actually end up with a less favourable outcome than what was originally proposed.
Yeah, and I think the key to all of this, really, from boroughs and districts, from county, everyone involved, is to engage with the developer. Yeah. Because actually, all the time you're engaging and having conversations, you can at least have a resemblance of control about what you can get out of it and how you can look after the local area and local residents.
Sure. So Kirsty's asking, have I missed a conversation about the proposed Pine Ridge development? That's actually what I was referring to earlier. But no, we haven't had any discussion about that. So Kirsty, if you have got any questions about that, put them in the comments there. I'd be happy to answer those for you. But also, anybody watching this live, I've got quite a few people across all the different Facebook pages that this is streaming out to, watching live. If you do have any questions, no matter what it is, concerning council services, put them in the comments there, and we'd be delighted to try and answer them for you. Now, there's some other questions going in here. So one from Anne. This is about the Pine Ridge. Paul, ref the planning gap at Pine Ridge isn't the route that SO Pipeline is going to take. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so. I think that it was one of the proposed routes, but I think that they've now said that the route is not going through there. But I can find that out for you, and I will make a note and try and get that answered definitively for you. Now let's just see what else. So if you are watching live, please do hit the share button so that your friends and local family members can benefit from this stream. And if you have any questions, if you're watching this now and you have any questions, put them in the comments there, and Colin and I will try and answer them for you. So question from Mark: you can repair a pothole poorly, or you can repair a pothole properly.
I like that.
Yeah, I do. Go on, I'll let you answer that.
Again, going back to the comments I made about the criteria and the speed, especially with the recent winter we had.
Yeah.
If there is a pothole that is, number one, dangerous, so especially if it's quite deep in a really dangerous position, what they would do is come out and do a temporary repair. Also, if there is a lot of potholes, as I said, like we were catching up on this winter, they did quite a few temporary repairs to allow them the time to come back and do it properly, because actually they must do something with that hole within the set time period. So that's why you see them temporary repairs. It is at no cost to the taxpayer or Surrey County Council. That's an operational decision by our contractor.
Okay, good enough. Now there is quite a few questions coming in now. Let's have a look. Emma. Okay, the timing of, and Emma's watching via the Surrey County Council Conservative Facebook page. She wants to know, so the timing of this surgery is perfect. Sadly, there was yet another incident this morning on the A308 stretch of road near the Black Dog Junction. Yet, again, a pedestrian was hurt, severity unknown, as they attempted to cross this road. Keen to hear what progress has been made with regards to the installing of a safe crossing point here, especially in light of my petition and speech at the Joint Committee earlier this year. Thank you. I'm not.
I know about this.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Emma. I think I was at the local committee when you presented your petition. I have taken that conversation forward. I was concerned about what had happened with the previous incident and the passion behind what was needed to be done. I am doing some work. I'm not going to give too many details over the air at the moment, but I can tell you a proposition has been worked up. We're trying to take it forward. What I need to do now is identify funding. I am working with the local enterprise partnerships to try and identify that funding and secure it, but I have got this on my agenda, and it is something I'm driving forward. Unfortunately, these things don't happen overnight, and it's unfortunate there's been another incident, but be sure, Emma, I did pick that up, and I am taking that forward and trying to get something done for you on that.
Okay, now, I think one comment I'd like to make, which Emma has sort of just reminded me, that residents, I don't think, fully appreciate the cost of some of the things that we take for granted on our highways network. So, for instance, perhaps you sent us through a menu of
oh, you're going to drag my memory now.
I am, yeah. And one of the costs, so a pedestrian crossing, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
It was something like 75 grand.
And upwards. I mean, a lot will depend. You know, that particular area of the A308, really busy road. We need to incorporate it probably in a junction.
Yeah.
That amount of work is going to take 150 to 100 grand. You know, because of the amount of work it's doing. But even just putting a zebra crossing or a toucan crossing could be anything between 75 to 100 grand, depending on traffic management, what other stuff are in the road. There's a lot of money involved there. You know, and that money's got to come from somewhere. So it's a case of, you know, developer funding. That's why local committees are the place to take all of those comments, get them into the local committee, get them put on a list, and then they can look at what developer funding has come forward. But that one on the A308, you know, I went and had a look after I left the committee a few days later. Particularly dangerous area, looked at where the schools are, looked at where the local estate are, and I thought actually this is one I need to take up. You know, I can't do them all, but where there are particular cases, you know, and especially where I think in that girl, a young girl was unfortunately hurt a little bit, but luckily not too much. I'm, you know, happy to take them cases up.
Yeah, and another new pot of money that councillors have been given access to is the Highways Fund. Each councillor now gets, or I should say each Surrey County councillor now gets £7,500 to spend in their local area on highways projects. I've spent £2,500 of mine so far. Still got 5 of it to go, and I think I'm not going to have much problems getting rid of that.
No.
But yeah, if there are some small projects in your area that you think you might be able to get your county councillor to get his hand in his allocation pocket, so to speak, do get in touch with your county councillor. Can you just explain that fund very briefly?
The fund, your local councillors will have 2 funds. They've got the £5,000, which is purely for community projects, supporting local community projects and voluntary systems in their own area. But the £7,500 is purely highway. Now that is quite broad. I've left it as loose as possible to allow the members to decide what is the priorities in their area. So that can be used for, to give you some examples, if you've got an area of grassland that people are parking on a lot, put some wooden posts in. If you've got an area of footpath that needs some attention, doesn't quite meet the criteria to be done, but actually a member would like to get that done, actually go and get it done. Patches on the road, if there's an area of road which is really, quite poor, but doesn't quite meet the criteria again for repaired, we've got a big list of roads we need to get to, the member can go in and do some work around that. I've had members, where we're going in with the winter fund, I've had one member that contacted me, and the winter fund, we're doing a certain amount of that road, but what they've used some of their money for is to actually extend that a little bit and to get more value and more impact on the road. So there's lots of things members can do. I've left it fairly blank so they can use their own imagination about what needs to be done in them areas, and me and my officers are supporting them in helping. If they've got an idea, come to us and we're happy to have a chat with it.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, I've got some more questions here. So those helicopters seem to have shut up now.
They've gone away.
Yeah, it sounds like
we did well.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounded like there was a flipping war going on out there. Okay, so let's have a look. Got quite a few comments here. Blimey, I'm having to scroll right the way back up here. Let's take this one from James. This is one for me. James wants to know what's happening with the proposal for the Water's Edge development. So if you're watching this live, you're not from the Camberley area, Water's Edge is a proposal for a development in the Mitchett area, and it's in planning at the moment. So the planning application has come in. It's for a development of a couple of hundred houses with quite a lot of affordable housing too. There's not a lot more I can tell you about it because it hasn't actually been determined yet by the planning committee, but the planning application is in, and if you go to the Surrey Heath Borough Council website under planning and just type in Water's Edge in the search field there, you'll be able to find all the details on that. And if you have any concerns, comments, or even if you support the development, please do get in touch with me and let me know, because I do intend to speak on the night at the planning committee, and every comment that I receive from residents, whether it's in support or against, helps me a lot represent your views on the night. So, so another question from, let's have a look here, from Valerie White. Valerie is a Bagshot councillor. Okay. Where the speed limit is 30 miles per hour, which, as most of us know, is indicated by the distance between lampposts. Certain people seem to ignore this because there is not a physical 30 miles per hour sign. Why is it policy not to be able to put up a 30 mile per hour sign, as most drivers I experience haven't got a clue that it is the lampposts that dictate the speed?
For once I've been caught speechless because I didn't know it was policy not to put a sign up. As far as I know, if it's a 30 mile an hour sign, we put a 30 mile an hour sign up. Valerie, I think that's an interesting question, and I have to say you've caught me there. I'm happy to take that away and have that conversation and find out what's going on. Valerie, I don't know who your local county councillor is. If you engage with them and ask them to drop me an email, because actually I'm sure we should be able to put signs up, and actually your local county councillor can use some of his money to put a sign up. So, you know, there's another route there, but I'd be quite interested to follow up on what you said.
Okay, thanks for that, Valerie. Question from Mark. How many third-party contractors are used? Let me just go to a wide shot there. How many third-party contractors are used? I have experienced huge variances in costs using different contractors. Are there regular procurement options on contracts? And I'm pretty sure Mark is talking about highway stuff here.
If you're talking about highways, absolutely. So we procure most of our work through Cllr. So they do, with a local authority, when you have to procure something, there's a massive system to go through. So we've set up a procurement network through Cllr, who are our main contractor, to get the best value for money, but actually to deliver quickly and to deliver on time. In the highways world, it's never perfect. Like in most other things, you get different quality of work from different people, but it is all monitored. They are called back when it's not done properly, but there is a procurement network. We do use lots of different contractors because no one is big enough to deliver it all. And you find this is not Surrey. Every other county does exactly the same thing in using a network of contractors to deliver what's needed on the ground.
Okay, now a different Mark this time. A comment rather than a question, but I'm sure we can make a comment in response. Balmoral Drive was closed for resurfacing last month.
Yep.
And has 2 deep potholes already. What a waste of our taxes. Well, perhaps I haven't quite finished yet.
Be interested to know what was done on the road, because we have had some issues with the surface dressing treatment that's done.
Right.
The heat, it reacted to the heat because it was so severe, the hot weather. Actually, we've had some lift and the contractors have gone back under warranty, although it's an act of God.
Yeah.
The contractors have gone back under the warranty to redo it.
Right.
I would again engage with your local county councillor, Mark. Make sure that's picked up by the local highways team.
That's me.
And we're that's you, is it?
Yeah.
Actually, and also Paul, send me a picture. Let's
Yeah.
engage with your local team, and we'll get that sorted out. If it, as I say, if there's a big dip in the road and they re-tarmacked it, it's not right. We'll get it resorted.
Yeah. So you heard that, Mark. If you could drop me an email, it's paul.deach@surreycc.gov.uk, and when we finish the live stream, I'll put that in the comments there about that. And if you can include some pictures, that would be great. We can get that looked at for you. So
no problem
thanks for bringing that to our attention. Really do appreciate it.
And that's the difficulty sometimes, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah.
You know, we're all councillors, we all do a big area. Our local highways managers do a bigger area. We do rely on the residents sometimes to actually feed us back some of this information.
Yeah.
Because actually we can't be everywhere all the time.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, yesterday I came under a lot of flack on Facebook because a particular part of my area I didn't realise came within my area, and residents had to educate me on that yesterday, which was quite embarrassing.
Yeah,
but,
I'm sure.
But yeah, you know, we can't be expected to know everything, and you know,
be everywhere. And the local highways managers, you know, there is a team that serves Surrey Heath, but they also serve different areas as well. So, you know, and there's a lot of miles. I can't remember the figure now, but there's a lot of miles of road in Surrey that has to be kept an eye on, and you can't be everywhere all the time.
No, absolutely. Now, just wanna thank my colleague Katia Malkaus-Cooper, who's a light water councillor, who's actually helping field a lot of these questions for me.
Thank you, Katia.
Yes, Katia. Without Katia, this wouldn't be possible, especially as that we're streaming.
You come to help in Woking, Katia, as well, when I do it.
Yeah, I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will. But this wouldn't be possible without Katia, especially as that we're streaming simultaneously to so many feeds.
And what do we do with these, Paul? Because obviously a lot of questions here that we haven't answered. Will we go through them afterwards?
Yeah. There'll be a recording. There'll be a recording afterwards, and the questions will stay there.
Yeah.
So if there's any questions we haven't answered, we will
try and get back on.
We've got 15 minutes left, so let's try and work through them. So, so that's that one done. Let me just go to the next one. Do bear with me. So one from Fiona. No, beg your pardon. It's from Kirsty. How long has it been identified that the Pine Ridge area would be an option for development when it is proposed that they apply for planning? Any thought about the drainage issues around Verdon Place and what the impact will be on the developments? There is more there. Why are the fuel allotments selling to Pine Ridge and not to the developers? Some of us are attending on Monday for additional questions we have, although there are very headlines. So, I don't know for sure, Kirsty. I used to be one of the trustees on the Frimley fuel allotments. and I know that there were discussions quite some time ago about the possibility, and they were exploring the viability of it back then. I'm no longer a trustee there. Since becoming a county council, I had to step away from that because you can be in the danger of taking on too much and becoming less effective, so I stepped away from that. They will have known for some time, and there hasn't been a plan, as far as I'm aware, a planning application hasn't been submitted yet. This is just pre-planning application community consultation, as far as I'm aware. In terms of drainage, I know there are some drainage issues around that area, particularly the new development across the road, particularly sewerage problems. I will be keen, should a planning application come forward and comes to the planning committee, I will be keen to make sure that those issues are addressed, because it is clearly a problem.
It's one of the quirks of planning, isn't it? You don't have to own the land to apply for planning permission.
No.
I could go and apply for planning on your garden.
Yeah.
You know, it might get, but actually I don't need your permission to do it either. I can just put the planning application in. So some of these planning applications are speculative.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is between the fuel allotments, the developer, and Pine Ridge. Yeah. But if you take Water's Edge in Mitchett as an example, what's happened there is that the developer is doing all the work subject, so they'll buy the land off the owner of the land, subject to getting planning approval. Yeah. And that's might be what's happening here.
Could be.
But if the truth be known, Kirsty, I really don't know. But let's see if we can find out. I mean, you'll be going to the pre-consultation event at Pine Ridge on Monday. I'm going to try my best to get there too, and let's see if we can get that answered from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So the next question is from Abby. What is the plan for Camberley Centre with the closure of House of Fraser and the sure state of the shops on the A30? How can we attract great trades to bring more shoppers in? Well, this actually relates back to one of the questions that was asked really earlier on, and about the investments that the council are making. They really do want to redevelop Camberley Town Centre, and there's a huge amount of work that's going on about that. Personally, I don't think that House of Fraser closing should have any impact on the town centre. Yeah, House of Fraser is a big name, but there's no reason why that space can't be used for something else, or even the same thing, but just under a different name perhaps. I honestly don't know what the plans are for it right now. I know there's a lot of discussions going on, so as soon as I have any more information on that, I will let you know. And as far as the A30 is concerned, yes, that is one of the areas that needs to be redeveloped. I mean, one of the big problems with Camberley Town Centre is if you don't know the town centre, you can drive past on the A30 and not even know there's a town centre there. So that area on the A30, the helicopters are back. Yeah. That area on the A30 definitely needs looking at, and I know that the council are doing that. Forgive me for rushing through. We've only got till 8 o'clock. And I want to try and answer as many questions as possible. Fiona wants to know, is the Highway Department responsible for cutting overgrown trees, bushes over Heatherside? Trees are covering road signs, cleaning of road signs.
That's a mixed answer to that question, and in this area I'm not sure, but quite often this will be the responsibility of the county council, but it's delegated to the boroughs and districts under agreement for the maintenance of that. But again, if there are particular areas of concern or signs that are being covered up, especially if they're statutory signs and they're needed for a specific reason, is to contact your local councillor, who will then find out if it's the responsibility of the county council or the borough council, and get that sorted out. Okay,
so Peter Ludlow, in response to the comments earlier about Pine Ridge, so the Pine Ridge development is speculative, Paul. I don't know. I honestly don't know. No. It's possible that it is. But I'm sure we're all going to find out on Monday at the pre-planning consultation event at Pine Ridge Golf Club. So what else have we got here? Let me just go to a wide shot there. Thomas Benjamin, have a day off, Paul. It's the World Cup. Do you know what, Thomas? Do you know what? I'm proud to say, I have never sat through a whole game of football in my life, and I don't intend to start now.
Oh, okay.
But thank you anyway. Abby, thanks for your answer. Not seen this before, and it's been great. Thanks, guys. And Katia, There you go, Katia. You're famous. So let me just see if there's anything else. Okay. From Stuart. I had some questions about the assumptions on the Frimley Green traffic lights assessment. What the assumptions are for general traffic growth, what they are based on, and does the government require local authorities to use these assumptions by law or by guideline? What discretion do Surrey County Council have to use other assumptions?
We have...
By the way, before you answer that, Colin has been personally involved in the issues around the Frimley Green traffic lights. Funnily enough, I drove past the Rose and Thistle pub one freezing cold morning, I think it was in January, and I saw him sat out there, and I stopped the car and went, "What are you doing here?" And he was there looking at the land and trying to assess the from an on-the-ground point of view. And so go ahead.
We have a responsibility to look at, first of all, we have a duty to look at the traffic modelling. Where something is suggested, it must be an improvement to the traffic flow, but not just today. We must look at the impact, especially where it's associated with a development. We must look at the impact over the future number of years to make sure that actually the impact is being looked after. You can't allow a development to go ahead, and if you've got a bit of money to spend, you must use it wisely. Having said that, I've really taken to heart with Frimley Green, because actually it's about, again, building a place. It's about looking what we're trying to mitigate, which is traffic flow, but how do we fit that in a semi-rural, nice village green, looking after the place we've got. I'm not going to talk to you about what I'm doing, but I have been working on this since latter part of last year. I'm almost at a place, but what I have promised with there's some key residents, and I'm not sure, Graham, if you're listening, there are some key residents who have been campaigning and emailing me very regularly, as well as a lot of other residents. When I have got a plan together, and I'm trying to bring my officers, the developers who are being really good at engaging with us, Surrey Heath, when we've got something to present, we will come back and I will ask Paul to host a residents meeting in Frimley Green, and we'll all come along and present what are our thoughts. It may not answer all your questions, but I'm trying really hard to make the proposition look better.
Okay, let's just try and motor through some of these questions just to try and make sure.
Sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. It's brilliant that you're here to answer these questions, because I certainly won't be able to answer them all. Question from Paul. Regarding planning and highways, can you explain the reasoning behind the solid wooden stakes put alongside the road at Newlands Corner when signposts, etc., age, being replaced with collapsible lattice items? No doubt this is going to happen with the Chobham Common car parks. Both areas are popular with cyclists and motorcyclists, and the effect on hitting a wooden post if you were to have an accident would more likely be fatal than if plastic. Sprung of lattice type wood, I think, should have been used.
I know why the posts are there, but actually the type of posts I can't really answer, unless there is because of the type of road, because it wouldn't necessarily. I mean, they're there to stop people parking on the green.
Yeah.
And we're not going to get into an old conversation around car parks, but actually we need to find more money to invest in the countryside.
Yeah.
And this is the way we're protecting the countryside, by putting a small charge on the car parks. And what we were worried about is everyone's going to end up parking on the grass. So the posts have been put there to protect the green areas.
Yep.
As to the safety issue, any work like that that's done will have a full safety impact by our highway safety team and also by Surrey Police, who we regularly do these inspections with. So I'm sure everyone's looked at it, and there may be a reason why the collapsible ones have not been done. It may be aesthetically, and that meets safety standards, I don't know.
Okay, good enough. So, Brenda, and try and answer this as quickly as you can, please, colleague. Brenda, would it not make more economic sense to report potholes properly first time rather than having to go back after a temporary repair? Then the chances are that the temporary repair has gone.
That's not a quick answer, Paul.
No, I know.
No, it's not economically viable, because actually, number one, we don't pay for the second visit. We pay for one visit, and we just pay a fixed price for our contract. and it's about making sure that road is safe. Yes, there are occasions where that lifts, but actually, you know, we don't have to. It is done to get a repair done within a certain amount of time, and to get as many done within a certain amount of time.
Good
So
enough.
yes, economically, it is the best way of doing it, and it is the best way of money we get out of our contract.
Okay, and question from Kirsty. Read the road signs. I would anticipate that the cost of cleaning these come out of the general maintenance costs. Sorry, let me just go to a wide shot there. A suggestion recently was that to use 7.5k as the money to pay for cleaning signage. Surely health and safety dictated that signs should be legible and clean enough to read. A special grant should surely be put to better use.
Yes and no. What you've got to remember is, and there is a figure around this, and I can't remember what it is, but there's about 60% of the signs that are on our road are not statutory signs. There is under half of the signs that are actually out there. We've gone through a number of years where we just keep putting signs on top of signs on top of signs.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, my personal view around, and this has come from Frimley Green, they're at fault for this because they led me down this path of actually decluttering and creating better open space. And a lot of our signs, you know, actually they're not statutory, you know. So there is a certain amount of money, and we have some money to clean the statutory signs, but actually councillors using their money to clean some of the other signs that communities over the years have requested is why we said it's allowed to be done.
One of my views is on signs. I mean, at Dettingen Park, where I live, which is a private estate, residents say to me, "Oh, can't you put signs up to say this and signs up so people know?" Well, yeah, we can, but the thing is, I honestly believe that people become desensitised to them. So take the vehicle activated signs as an example. Now, they do work. They really do work. But if you go past the same one every day, you start to ignore them. And personally, I would rather see less signs than more.
Yeah.
But that's just a personal opinion.
And go on to YouTube and Google Poynton and look at the shared space scheme they put there, where they took out the traffic lights, the signs and everything to make a safer place.
Yeah, I mean, I know Poynton very
and
well.
again, that's Frimley Green's fault that I'm into that as well.
Yeah,
so.
well, I know the Poynton junction you're talking about very well, only because my brother literally lives about 5 miles from it. So, yeah, I've seen it, and it is incredible. It really is. So, let's just see if we can motor through some of these here. Darren, Paul, can anybody do anything about the gridlock outside Ravenscote School? It's an ongoing, painful journey which the Surrey County Council seem to deem unimportant. It needs a long lay-by construction opposite. Lay-by, I think he means.
So, is this congestion outside of a school?
Yeah, I don't know if you know the area. It's by Tomlinscote School.
No,
there's that road down there, but it is horrendous there. And actually, the development that we're talking about earlier, the proposed development we were talking about earlier, is actually just off that road.
Yeah.
It is absolutely horrendous there.
And is this at school pickup time, or
it's school pickup and drop off?
Yeah.
And it's just one single road, you see.
Yeah.
And I think that what they need is some kind of drop off and pick up provision there.
Yeah. And actually, here's a good example of the development going up there. Use some of the development money that's coming off of that to perhaps invest in making that better. But you know, from a Surrey point of view, it is really difficult to actually try and regulate this. The schools themselves are obviously, they do their best, and I know they could do a bit better in some occasions, but actually it is down to the parents, it's down to the residents, that, you know, all them people that are parking and dropping off, and they're all the residents. And I always quote, a police lady said to me when I was outside of school, she said to me, I'd rather deal with a burglar than a mum or a dad at pickup time, because actually they're less aggressive.
Well,
so
well, the thing is actually with this new development, which is on Frimley Fuel Allotments land, and opposite the school, I know there was a campaign quite some years ago to get the Frimley Fuel Allotments to release some of the land so they could put in a lay-by there, a drop-off, pick-up, drop-off lay-by. And for some reason that didn't come off, so perhaps if this development does go ahead, perhaps there's an opportunity to be had there.
But think really carefully. You know, you get a lay-by for a dozen cars.
Yeah.
You know, really, is that going to cure the problem? Because you know, especially at pickup time, you know, all the mums are just going to get there early to get their space, and the rest of the road will still be, still have an issue. So, but yeah, I mean, it is an issue for schools all over Surrey, if not all over the south of England.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we've come to the end.
Is it 8 o'clock?
That was an hour. That was an hour. Colin, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
And actually, I'm going to ask you to do this again because it was very, very good.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I will say hello to my daughter and niece who are listening.
Oh, right,
They've clocked in.
Okay, I'll say hello to me mum then. Well, hello, mum.
So because I saw my daughter's name pop up there.
Oh,
so.
did you? But it's been very useful having you as part of this. Thank you very much, and let's do it again soon.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a great idea,
Yeah.
and I'm going to try and do something locally, but I need you to tell me how the tech works.
I can help you with that, no problem at all.
No, thank you everyone for their questions, and I will get Paul to look through them with me and see if there's anything else I can respond to and try and help with. You can go onto my Facebook page. If you go onto Councillor Colin Kemp, there's a Facebook page as well, and I'll try and respond to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've been watching this live, thank you very much. There will be a recording afterwards as soon as I hit the end button on here. So if you're watching the recording afterwards, keep an eye out on my page or on Colin's page, which is facebook.com/Colin Kemp Surrey. Wherever you're watching from, thank you very much for engaging with us, and hopefully we'll do this again very soon. If I could just take this opportunity to plug my email list so that I can keep you informed. If you're one of my constituents, if I can keep you informed of local matters, you can subscribe to my email list at deachy.uk. So that's DEACHY for Yankee.uk, and I do email my residents regularly to keep them updated on local matters, so do subscribe.
And councillors watching, learn how to do this, because I think social media is the way forward of how we engage with our residents.
Absolutely, and I'll take this opportunity to tell councillors social media is for life, not just at election time. So thank you very much.